So I eventually made it into the ATL group. I was working with the VW dealership on Oxford Road,
Okay.
right? But I got in as a service advisor.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there for very long, incidentally. Just short of a year, I think I was there for.
Okay.
But the benefit of having my background is that I was able to more readily assess what was happening with customers' vehicles when they brought them in.
When Broadman, right, right.
Right. So usually what would happen is that the, oh my goodness, what's the title? I'm going to say head mechanic, even though that's not head technician.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, yeah, head technician. That
There,
person would,
you have regular technician, then you have the master technician, then you have somebody in quality control who tests and to ensure that
right,
everything is, yeah.
right. So the master technician would normally come around, and if there's a noise or if there's something unusual that the customer is hearing in the vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
then that master tech would go and test drive the vehicle with the client and so forth.
Right, right.
Right. But for less quote unquote complicated things,
Mm-hmm.
in the office I was able to, kind of almost offer some kind of pre-diagnosis
Yeah.
so that when it actually went around to the service area, they were able to go through a bit quicker.
Okay. Okay.
And it would have helped me as well in terms of being able to assess what parts were needed and have the conversations with the client throughout the day that would help them to feel as though, okay, I was able to kind of bridge that gap between technical speak and
Yeah.
what the clients would
Yeah.
understand easily.
Because the general consensus, well, the general standard across the board is that service advisors should have some form of
Technical
mechanical
knowledge.
technical knowledge of the vehicles that
Mm-hmm.
they're actually working on. And that was the push some time ago to use either the apprentices, right, to come and assist those service advisors who weren't technically sound at the time, and then they will
Mm-hmm.
do like check the tire pressure, check the lubricants, check the brakes, do a walk around the vehicle, and then it will be made easier for the technician to have that vehicle repaired. But the push was to have the service advisors do that. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow it fell off. I'm not sure that all dealerships actually do it, right? But because it has been somewhat of a pushback, because at the end of the day, it's all about how much they're getting paid.
Yeah, the dollars and cents.
That's what it boils down to. So the
Yeah.
incentive was to you get more vehicles or you upsell, then we can talk. So they want to see the results before they can compensate. That's what it was all about,
Mm-hmm.
right? But continue.
Yeah, so I mean, that was pretty much my experience at ATL. Yeah, good interactions with the staff on every level.
Right, right.
Um, more more so with the technicians.
Hmm.
So I actually used to enjoy the times when I would be able to go around the back and get feedback from the guys and hear what's going on.
Right.
And that was probably those were the highlights of
Hmm.
my days.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So you didn't have a long run in terms of the dealership experience, but
No,
I'm sure that but you sound like you were enjoying yourself. So I mean, but
yeah,
the thing is, with a degree in motorsports, why didn't you, like, can I ask if did you lose the passion later on? Like you could have gone on and worked at a smaller shop, gain more experience, and then probably open your own shop somewhere down the line. Did you ever think about that?
So I actually wanted to hmm, I actually wanted to specialize in like engine rebuilding,
Okay.
right? That was one dream that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at what was happening in terms of all the different factors, the money that it would have cost me to get the correct machinery and the right setup to be able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the what I would want to call maybe like the prevailing thought pattern locally. I didn't know that it would have been very successful initially.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I wasn't really in a position to do something like that.
Okay.
It wasn't something that I could have taken on at the time.
Right.
Um, will I ever do that? I don't know because it's been a really long time and I'm not au fait with what's happening in the industry now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that the passion died per se.
Right.
Um, I would say that life happened. Life happened.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess I would say a woman of more than one passion.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I believe that everything is seasonal and maybe that season has ended. Maybe a similar season along that line will return at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm not really looking there.
Okay, but do you still like do your own mechanic work on your own car, like repair your own
Well, yeah,
brakes and change your
I
own
do
oil and
minor
oh,
things sometimes when I get the time, but I
okay,
don't have a lot of time these days, free time these days.
okay,
So fortunately, I do have a couple of persons that will be able to do those things for me.
okay, okay.
So in the event that I don't have the time, which is frequently the case,
Mm-hmm.
then I always have an alternative where I can say, oh, van need to service, just a big deal do that thing for me and it
Mm-hmm.
get done.
And get done.
Mm,
Because I know that when you mentioned that rebuilding engine, that was a norm in Jamaica some time ago when, especially when we had, I'm talking from a Toyota's background. Um, what we used to do is like bore engine block and re-sleeve, and you either go
yeah,
50
man.
millimeter and 20 millimeter, and then you will send it to the machine shop to have the block
Yeah,
polished and then the crankshaft polished, and then you will polish, sorry, and then you will send the main and the crankshaft bearings, and it was actually a lot of fun going around the back and seeing the mechanic rebuilding those engine, taking the engine apart, putting in the
yeah,
crankshaft, putting in the thrust washers, going through the decarb or the overall kit, and it was really something else.
yeah. But for me too, the thing about it was that I was always more interested in
Okay.
performance engines.
Hmm.
So like I'm not really interested to rebuild a Corolla engine,
Or you want to put a 4A GE
right?
turbo
So
supercharger inside of it.
yeah, or RB26, one of
Yeah.
those. That's just yeah, that's what I'm in. That's where my interest lied or
Hmm. Hmm.
lay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
there wasn't really a lot of room for that locally.
you had quite a few guys out there who did that. They
Yeah.
just bring the engine in. At one point, I was, hanging around some guys who they had this garage on South Camp Road, and they will just bring down the one JZ twin turbo engines out of Japan and then drop it in a
Mm-hmm.
BMW, or then drop it in a old Land Rover, and I mean, it was actually incredible. And they'll go to the
Yeah.
machine shop and get the manifold built and
Yep.
the different brackets, and I mean, it was really something else. And they call themselves street legal. I don't well, I mean, you build an engine so powerful, but at the same time, no, you don't have the correct calipers to stop the cars.
Yeah.
That was actually something else. So that was basically what you were involved in. That was your passion.
Yeah, this was what I enjoyed.
Yeah. Really, really something else.